Well, howdy there, sunshine. Noel Swain here, coming to you from beautiful downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. And let me tell you, it is a mighty fine day to talk about something almost as sweet as my mama's pecan pie, and that's stocks. I know what some of y'all may be thinking. No, stock sounds mighty complicated and they don't sound all that sweet. All those numbers and all that fancy talk about PE ratios and beta and alpha and things like that. Well, let me tell you something. I heard, do you know what the definition of PE ratio is? That's how much the stock market has to go down before you start peeing in your pants. And that's what PE ratio is. But anyway, all that fancy talk, that's nothing but hogwash. Stocks are simpler than churning butter on a hot Spartanburg, South Carolina summer day. Imagine your favorite store. Let's think about this now. Maybe that favorite store that you had, maybe that's where you buy those fancy new sneakers that you like so much. Or that energy drink that you see many people enjoying. Maybe it's a computer company that you personally love. And perhaps it's the place with the best country fried steak this side of the Mississippi. Now, what if I told you that you, yes, you, could actually own a tiny piece of that very company? Well, that's exactly what a stock is. A great way to understand a stock is to think of a company as a giant jar of candy. Now, this is a little tiny jar of candy, but think of it, great big jar of candy. Now, in the real world, this jar would be enormous, holding millions or even billions of pieces. Each piece of candy, though, represents one share of stock. When you buy a stock, you're essentially buying one of those pieces, which gives you a small or tiny ownership stake in that company. You become a part owner of that company. Now, ain't that something? Now, why would you want to own a piece of, say, that company that makes maybe those electric cars everybody's talking about? Or maybe that social media app where folks share all those funny cat videos and things like that? Well, there should be two main reasons. And that first one is you want to grow your money. When that company does well and makes more money, your little piece of the pie, your stock, usually becomes more valuable. Sort of like planting a little acorn and watching it grow into a great big mighty oak tree. The value of your stock goes up, and if you decide to sell it later, you could make a profit. That's what we call capital appreciation. But you can just call it growing your money. Now, the second reason is dividends. And we call that a little thank you note. Now, sometimes if a company is doing extra fine, they'll share a little bit of their profits with their owners. And that's you if you own that piece of stock. If you own that little share. And these are called dividends. Think of it like a little thank you check that they send you just for being part of their success. It's not every company, mind you, but it's a sweet little bonus when it happens. Now, here's where the fun begins. How do you decide which company's puzzle piece you want to own? It's easier than trying to herd cats. I do promise that. The first thing you do is look at what you love. Think about the things you use every day. What brands do you just really like? Do you love sipping on that fancy coffee from that big chain every morning? Or maybe you spend hours watching those short, funny videos on that popular app on your smart tablet device you have. Perhaps you can't live without your favorite gaming console. If you love a product or a company, chances are that a whole lot of other folks are going to like it too. And if a lot of people love it, that company is probably making good money, which makes its stock more likely to do well. It's like following a good barbecue smell. You know something delicious is at the end of that trail, and you follow that all the way there. We've got all sorts of newfangled things these days, don't we? Now think about this. We got electric vehicles. They're called EVs. Those quiet cars that don't need any gasoline. Folks are flocking to them like moths to a porch light. And think about this, artificial intelligence. Now, I'm not talking about common human smarts, because I don't really think the artificial intelligence is ever going to be able to replace it. But it's helping us do things a lot better. And I know it sounds futuristic, but it's already here and helping us do all sorts of things, from recommending movies to writing emails for us. Now, another thing is, how about renewable energy, like solar panels and wind turbines, clean energy that's good for the planet and getting more popular every day. And then you have these online streaming services. Who watches regular TV anymore when you can binge watch your favorite show anytime you want? And then they have gaming and esports. Video games ain't just for kids anymore. It's a huge industry, and those professional gamers are practically rock stars in their world. Now, if a company is a leader in one of these hot trends, it might just be a smart place to put your money. Just do your homework. Don't go investing in something just because your nephew heard about it on TikTok. You just don't want to do that. Now, this is important. My grandma always said, no, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if that basket tips over, you're going to have scrambled eggs for a week, and they're going to have a lot of shell in them, and you don't want that. It's the same with stocks. Don't put all your money into just one company. No matter how much you love their sweet tea, if that's what they're making. If that one company has a bad spell, your money could take a hit. It's smarter to diversify, spread your money around a little, and put them in several different companies, maybe even different types of companies. You know, there are different types of companies like retail stores and telecom, and there's technology and just many different types of companies. Think of it like a garden. You plant tomatoes, and you plant some corn and maybe some collard greens and some okra. Now, personally, I don't like collard greens. I'd probably plant cabbage. But anyway, if the tomatoes don't do so hot one year, you still got plenty of good eating from the rest of the garden. So how do you actually buy a stock? You don't just walk into the grocery store and ask for a share of their company. No, you'll need to open an investment account with some brokerage firm. You could do these through somebody like me, or you can go right straight online and go right straight to those companies. There are plenty of good ones out there, and many of them have easy-to-use apps on your phone these days. Now, I would hold up my phone, but it's in the other room, so I'm not going to do that. But you know what I'm talking about. Just like you use an app when you order your dinner. You know, my wife, she loves ordering dinner on the phone and having it brought to her. Now, you can use one to buy a piece of your favorite company, too. You start small. Learn as you go. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There are folks out there like me who can help guide you. Investing in stocks is about becoming a part of something bigger, watching your money grow, and having a little fun along the way. It ain't just for the big shots and fancy suits. It is for everybody. So go on, do your research, find a company you admire, and start your own little journey into the world of stocks. And remember, even a slow turtle makes it to the finish line if he just keeps on moving. Now, y'all have a blessed day.